I told you to leave it alone, Ethan! You are in the way.
So in Resident Evil Village, we played mostly as Ethan Winters, where he had to fight his way against Mother Miranda and the 4 lords of this region. But during our playthrough, we do encounter Chris Redfield, the veteran Resident Evil character who's been around for more than 2 decades in this franchise. Though in this game, he started off on a different note, being portrayed as a villain of sorts, and started the domino effect that caused Ethan so much turmoil during his adventure in Resident Evil Village. Which begs the question, why did Chris Redfield cause so much mayhem for Ethan Winters and his family? What was his role in RE Village? And what other catalysts and plot points do we learn in regards to his character? Which all of this will be answered in this video, so sit back and relax as we explain the story of Chris Redfield.
Ethan! I gotta say, I'm surprised you made it this far. It'd be a shame if something happened to you now.
Where we briefly cover his origins, how he came about investigating the current bioweapons being used, and his role in the plot of this game. So to begin with, Chris Redfield's battle against bioweapons started in the late 1990s, where he was part of the Raccoon City's police department's STARS Alpha team, a ragtag elite group of individuals tasked to do higher level missions for the RPD. This would place Chris right in the middle of the T-virus outbreak, with his first adventure in Resident Evil 1 spanning the events of the Spencer Mansion incident, revealing the use of the T-virus and exposing the Umbrella Corporation's many inhumane experiments using said virus. This of course would only be the beginning of his fight against bioterrorism, with the many variants of the viruses and strains being used throughout the Resident Evil franchise. We follow his adventures past the Raccoon City incident, from the games like Resident Evil Code Veronica,
What are we gonna do?
Okay, turn the key clockwise simultaneously on 3.
Got it.
One, 2, 3.
Warning, the safety valve will not be released until charging is complete.
I'll keep her busy. Just go for the emergency elevator.
Chris, but
I can take care of this. Just go.
his major role in Resident Evil 5, where he fights a superhuman Albert Wesker, to his campaign in Resident Evil 6, and seeing him lose a trusted partner.
Pierce!
Open the door!
Listen to me! What are you doing? No, Pierce, don't! God damn it, Pierce!
No! Pierce, open the goddamn door! Pierce!
Though with all this obstacles in his way, Chris always comes out on top and defeats many b.o.w.s in the process. Though this doesn't come without a price, because through the years, little by little, we see Chris become more stoic and brooding, though this personality was only cultivated due to the many traumas and losses that he's been dealt with.
I said she asked you to leave.
Never thought I'd find Chris Redfield wasting away in a shithole like this.
Who the hell are you?
Piers Nivens?
Never heard of you.
How about this?
Who are you? What is this?
I said, look! Those were your men!
Because by the time we see him in Resident Evil Village, this darker and brooding version of Chris is the end result of all the years of fighting so many b.o.w.s, which could be seen as both a good and bad thing, which I'll explain in this video on why both were so important in regards to the plot events in RE Village, and how things could have been changed for the better if he acted differently in certain moments. But as mentioned earlier, Chris's initial portrayal in RE Village came about looking as if he took a complete turn for the dark side, with Ethan and Mia literally being ambushed within their own home, with Chris being at the helm of this attack. Then subsequently, we get these events here.
Get him up.
So without any explanation, Chris acted upon his own agenda, never revealing his true intentions to Ethan from the get-go, which was very interesting for his character to make such a 180, especially since Chris was the one who helped Ethan at the end of Resident Evil 7, and the fact that Chris was very much involved with the lives of the Winters since the events from that game, where he helped Ethan and Mia relocate to Europe post a Bayou incident in RE7, trying to help the couple start anew.
What is with the creepy story?
Rose doesn't seem to mind.
Because she doesn't understand it.
There's nothing wrong with my memory. Just being paranoid.
What's that?
Oh, hands off. But if you're gonna keep sulking all evening, you really have to stop worrying.
It's just finding you in Louisiana, the pregnancy, Chris moving us here, military training, it all happened so fast, you know?
Well, at least we're all together.
Also, the couple would be given military training, just in case an event similar to the Bayou incident should occur again to this family. Also, it appears that the BSAA has been involved with the Winters couples as well, where they've been kept on tabs on the status of Ethan and Mia's baby Rose after she was born, with the documenting stating, name, Rosemary Winters, date of birth, February 8th, 2020, height 62.3 centimeters, weight 6.57 kilograms, screenings which include hearing, vision, touch, and reflex test. All results show no issues. Patients in good health. Other notes, results for additional fungal pathogen tests will be provided by the BSAA. Also, for those who didn't know, BSAA, or Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, was founded by 11 members due to the use of bioweapons around the world post the Raccoon City incident, and Chris Redfield was actually one of the 11 founding members of this organization, along with his trusted partner Jill Valentine. Though BSAA's involvement within the game worked more in the background, and mostly without Chris's involvement, leading to some conspiracies going behind Chris's back, but we'll get to that shortly in the video. Anyways, after the ambush at the Winters' household, Chris and his newer Hound Wolf Squad would proceed in their mission and head towards the village. With this new group that Chris created, it essentially acts outside of the jurisdiction of the BSAA, though everyone in the group were members of the organization to begin with, though it was never truly explained why Chris decided to form a smaller splinter cell group outside of the BSAA, though the conspiracy that I just mentioned early on may indicate some reasonings behind it. But as of now, just on the surface level, we know that the Hound Wolf Squad, or HWS, is led by Chris, which he's called Alpha, always following his commands, which would lead to their infiltration of the village in the latter half of the game. But as mentioned, Chris's involvement in this game would be shrouded in a mystery, always keeping Ethan in the dark about the events that just ensued, and would usually be very cryptic and very short with Ethan when he starts to probe about answers in regards to the ambush on his family and the involvement that was going on in the village, because it wasn't until the last 1/3 of the game that we finally see Chris come out and show some signs beyond his brooding and darker approach, explaining to Ethan that the ambush that happened in his household only happened due to Mother Miranda, the main antagonist of this game.
Fuck you, you crazy bitch!
Which was revealed that she was a shapeshifter and posed as Mia in hopes of kidnapping Rose. Chris and his Hound Wolf Squad knew about Mother Miranda's plan and tried to take her out, while at the same time try to apprehend Ethan and his daughter in hopes of keeping them safe, though all this failed due to some manipulation on Mother Miranda's part, pretending to die during the ambush, but would later escape during the transportation after the events in the Winter household. This story revelation would all happen just after the exposition we had with Mother Miranda, resulting in the death of Ethan Winters, with Chris appearing to regret some of the decisions and course of actions he's made during this mission of taking down Mother Miranda.
And I'll go over the situation. My team and I were careless. Yesterday, we took down the transformed Miranda, but we didn't kill her.
Who knew she could fake being a corpse?
Since Miranda could have infected Ethan, I forcefully took him and Rose with us. But the vehicle they were riding in was attacked. When I got to the wreck, Ethan and Rose were gone. The last time I was able to contact Ethan, I heard Miranda's voice. She murdered him, and she is not gonna get away with it. God damn it, when does it end?
But shortly after, this would be the portion of the game that we finally get to play as Chris Redfield, with his gameplay and story portion takes a drastic change in approach and combat style. Because leading up to the moment prior to our playthrough as Chris, Resident Evil Village mostly played as a slower survival horror game where we had to ration our ammo, play smarter against enemy hordes in hopes of making it out alive.
Like I'd let you get away.
But in this case, with Chris Redfield's playthrough, all that would be thrown out of the window, because the earlier, slower survival horror gameplay that we mostly played up to this point in the game would be substituted with a much more action-heavy gameplay mechanics, with Chris completely equipped with some of the best weapons and items in the game. Even the amount of ammos that he has would not be a problem, due to the plethora of ammo crates during his playthrough. This sudden change in pacing and action-heavy approach to the game may have turned some players off, due to the many highlights of the survival horror aspect when we played as Ethan. Because looking back, in my opinion, this action-heavy approach to Chris Redfield's adventure was actually brilliant. Because for one, it was just perfect timing that we get to play as this hulking character, who essentially played as Rambo, where we took out the hordes of b.o.w.s in this village, which in a way that Ethan didn't have the firepower when compared to Chris. Also, this adrenaline pumping portion of the game, where we raided the village with his Hound Wolf Squad, was a perfect revenge gameplay aspect to all the enemies and monsters, because we just experienced our main character Ethan lose his life to Mother Miranda. So what better way to take out our anger than using it towards all the enemies in front of us while playing as Chris, because we are equipped with some of the best weapons and never-ending supply of ammo, so it was befitting that we use the cards that were dealt with to our advantage. Lastly, this action-oriented Rambo-style gameplay of Chris perfectly summarizes his role in this game, as well as his comparison to experience with Ethan. Because remember, at this point, Chris has been fighting against so many b.o.w.s for more than 2 decades already, so it's only fair to assume that his combat experience is so much greater compared to Ethan's. So essentially, when we play as Chris, we can literally see the difference in combat experience between the two protagonists, allowing Chris to fit his role as a one-man army who knows how to deal with the many monsters inside the village. Though at this point, with our gameplay as Chris, a couple more revelations would be set up for our character, and even possibly be the foundation to the next Resident Evil game. And what I mean by this is the involvement of the BSAA and the ending events in Resident Evil Village.
So BSAA got here already? They didn't waste any time?
Because as mentioned earlier, Chris was a founding member of the BSAA, though in this game, he appeared very wary of their presence. In actuality, he was very suspicious of the BSAA's mission, which had him order one of his squad members to investigate the BSAA's agenda in the village.
K9, I want to know what the hell BSAA is doing here. Find out what you can.
Roger that, I'm on it.
And it's extremely ironic that he acts this way towards his own organization, and if we look closer inside of his own inventory, we see the Blue Umbrella logo on his stim pack, indicating that he still has an alliance with Blue Umbrella, the same organization that he worked for in Resident Evil 7's DLC. This literally is a complete turnaround from his origins, and how ironic that he was mostly affiliated with Umbrella these past 2 Resident Evil games, when he himself was a founding member of BSAA. Though prior to the final revelation in regards to the BSAA, the events leading up to that point has Chris take down the Mega Mycete that was underneath the village. All the while, Ethan at this point woke up from a supposed death to take down Mother Miranda, with one last assistance from Chris.
Once I kill you properly, everything...
Get her now!
But by the end of the battle with Mother Miranda, the bomb that Chris implanted on the Mega Mycete would be used by Ethan instead, allowing Chris to escape the village with both Mia and Rose, which is interesting to see that the results of Chris's actions at this point, because early in the video, we mentioned that Chris has made many decisions that were so important for the plot points and events in this game, which these decisions can be seen as both good and bad, because the decision of him taking on the lead of eliminating Mother Miranda was well intended, though the lack of communication with Ethan and his family in regards to his agenda, and keeping them completely in the dark has caused a domino effect that could have been avoided, especially the death of Ethan to Mother Miranda, and from what we saw post the final boss battle with her. Also on a quick note, this Mia right here is the true Mia, not the shape-shifting form of Mother Miranda that we saw at the start of the game, which this conversation of the two did indicate that Chris was supposed to keep them safe after the bayou incident 3 years prior in Resident Evil 7. So the loss of Ethan by the end of Resident Evil Village caused so much remorse for Chris, which was evident when Chris had to explain to Mia that Ethan didn't make it out alive.
Chris, what have you done?
He's gone. I tried. He stayed so we could all escape. I'm sorry.
So finally, just continuing on the plot point of BSAA, it's revealed to Chris that the agents that the BSAA sent to the village were actually bioweapons. If anything, humanoid-looking bioweapons that just appeared discolored, which begs the question, what exactly is the BSAA up to? Why wasn't Chris involved with the mission with the BSAA in the village? And why isn't he working with them directly? If anything, Chris appears to have gone rogue and created the Hound Wolf Squad as a deterrent just in case if anything were to happen to the BSAA. Also, the fact that Chris still has some ties with Blue Umbrella is very ironic and interesting. Also, it's good to point out that it was reported that Resident Evil Village is part of a trilogy that involves the life of Ethan, Chris, and the mold strain. So now, having the BSAA look to appear as though they've gone bad, and now Chris has to investigate the very organization that he helped found, would be a great setup for another Resident Evil title. But also, it's good to mention that by the end of RE Village, which happens many years later after the current events that we just went through, an older Rose Winters appears to be in strict surveillance. Though it's not directly said that Chris is leading this operation, but we do get a small mention of him here.
We have a situation. You're needed, Evelyn.
Don't you ever call me that again.
Whoa, it's just a joke, Rose.
I can show you things even Chris doesn't know I can do.
Stand down. I can handle it.
Anyway, so many interesting plot points, the many setups for another Resident Evil game, and the many conspiracies lurking in the background in regards to the BSAA, the Hound Wolf Squad, and the Blue Umbrella. Also the fact that the ending with Rose leaves in a cliffhanger, which we can safely assume at this point, Chris would still be highly involved within the storyline of the Winters family, and the reported trilogy of the RE titles covering the plot. Also, as we know, he will be investigating the BSAA, exploring why they're using b.o.w.s, and why Chris appears to have gone rogue with his own dedicated squad. Anyways, what do you guys think about Chris Redfield and his involvement in Resident Evil Village? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, if you guys enjoy the content, then please feel free to like and subscribe for more Resident Evil content in the future. Anyways, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you guys have a great rest of your day, and this is DeVuH, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
I can take care of this!